It's 2015, and the MMORPG genre is getting very stale. World of Warcraft has been declining for years, and RuneScape's gameplay loop of repeatedly left-clicking your mouse gets boring after 3 minutes. Gamers craved something new, and luckily for them, their saviour Jeremy Caspian Walsh was going to revolutionise the entire gaming industry with his highly ambitious game, Chronicles of Elyria. Caspian founded gaming company Soulbound Studios to bring his vision to life. There was one problem though, he had no money. Perfect. May 2016, a Kickstarter campaign for the game was launched, and gamers were in awe. The pitch was absolutely incredible. Be whoever you want and do whatever you want in a massive, vibrant, dynamic open world that reacts to your every choice. Enjoy a fully destructible environment, finite resources, and non-repeatable side quests. Take that, Todd.
16 times.
A revolutionary system where your character ages and even dies. But that's not all. Your character trains skills, runs your store, and defends himself even when you're offline. Cartographers can map the lands and sell those maps for a profit, but maps can also be faked, meaning players have to earn their title as a reputable seller, along with an innovative combat system, legal contracts between players, and so much more. My god. The most immersive MMO ever. The Kickstarter's goal was $900,000, a little low considering the dev's enormous ambition, but gamers were way too hyped to care. Backers quickly flooded the game's Kickstarter page, begging Soulbound Studios to take their money, with the company offering an abundance of rewards for doing so. A $35 pledge for the full game plus extras. Sounds okay to me. A pledge of $75 for an in-game pet, a strategy guide and other rewards. Not bad. $250 to be an in-game baron. This is when things start getting pretty avaricious. You see, the entire game's design was based upon medieval feudalism, a system that wasn't just a tyrannical mess, but that also had 4 distinct social classes: monarchs such as kings and queens, nobles, knights, and lowly peasants. So basically, if you didn't want to roleplay as a little brokey farmer, you could always pay for the more advanced positions. $500 for the title of Count/Countess. Jesus. But at least you get a name and in-game headstone. Could be a good trolling opportunity. $3,500 to be a Duke/Duchess. Jesus Christ. These prices are outrageous, but it gets much, much worse. $10,000 to be a Protean king, ruling over a Protean kingdom of socially inept virgins. My god. To absolutely nobody's surprise, 4 depressed neckbeards dropped a year's salary from their part-time job at Wendy's in order to secure the highly prestigious role. What's that? You're a little wagey and can't afford these outrageous prices? Sorry kid, you'll just have to settle for being a shopkeeper. At the time, Chronicles of Elyria was amongst the highest funded projects in Kickstarter history. With over 10,000 backers, it smashed the initial goal of $900,000, instead raising over $1.3 million. So with funding secured, Caspian then assembled his dream team of ex-Blizzard, Microsoft, and Bungie employees. Not only that, but a partnership with tech startup Improbable was also announced. This would allow Soulbound to use Spatial OS, a networking engine that would enable the development of a rich, large-scale multiplayer experience. The project was shaping up to be incredible. Caspian had the full faith of the game's backers behind him. In fact, so confident in his team's ability to finish the game, he even announced a release date. December 2017. Very ambitious indeed. Development then began immediately. However, development mainly consisted of paying someone on Fiverr to create some concept art, whilst the devs spent most of their time trying to get their new website to work. Let's talk about that. You see, the crowdfunding didn't end with the Kickstarter. The studio also launched an official Chronicles of Elyria website. Not only did this contain development updates and player forums, but also an entire store page of in-game items selling at ridiculous prices. Think Fallout 76's Atomic Shop, but for a medieval MMO. Soulbound Studios then partnered with video games commerce company Xsolla, who we'll be hearing more about later, to facilitate the sale of overpriced items for a game that didn't yet exist. It raises a further $8 million. Throughout the rest of 2016, little work was done in the actual game, with most of Soulbound Studios' time dedicated to hosting Q&As, posting website updates, and publishing even more concept art. In fact, their most innovative, substantial update of the entire year was a janky tech preview of some horribly rendered snow mechanics. It's now 2017. Although hype is through the roof, over at Soulbound Studios things aren't quite going to plan. However, this was the year the real development would begin. Soulbound even announced that they would be attending video game festival PAX East and would be unveiling Chronicles of Elyria's first gameplay trailer. Gamers were ecstatic. At last, some gameplay footage to quench the hype. March 2017, Boston. Video game festival PAX East is underway, with Soulbound Studios in attendance, ready to reveal their game to the entire world. My God, it was beautiful. For a pre-alpha build from such a small team, the game looked incredible, and the hype proceeded to skyrocket. From the outside, development seemed to be progressing flawlessly, but in reality, progress in the game was absolutely abysmal. Not only had the scope of the game increased dramatically over the past year, the team had been completely neglecting actually developing the game, instead pouring their resources into generating even more hype to increase crowdfunding. Then, the inevitable happened. Caspian, the game's lead developer, admitted that things weren't going too well. To make things worse, Caspian even admitted that no software engineers wanted to work with the company, complicating development even more. The game was delayed until 2019. It's 2019, and there's still no game in sight. Backers are beginning to get worried. For the past 2 years, all Soulbound Studios had developed was a mediocre character creator, seizure-inducing animations, and a janky jousting system. Rather than focusing on development, Soulbound was opting to instead post blog updates dedicated to the game's Discord moderators. The project was nosediving, and to make things worse, in January 2018, over 2 years into development, Soulbound announced that they were no longer going to be building the game on Spatial OS, meaning devs were now scrambling to port what little they did have developed onto another engine. This was a huge red flag. However, it didn't stop delusional fans from rushing to Soulbound's defense on Reddit.
Spatial OS is full of shit and can't deliver on the massive experiences that it promised people.
It's now September 2019, and it's becoming obvious that, wait, is that? Oh my dear god, it's new gameplay footage. Fans had suffered over 2 long years of false promises, retarded blog updates, and a seemingly unending amount of concept art. But finally, they would get another glimpse at what they thought was to be the most revolutionary game of all time. Fans frantically booted up their PCs. This was going to be incredible. What the fuck is this? The game was dreadful. It looked nothing like the 2017 demo shown at PAX East. Graphics were god awful. Gameplay was incredibly outdated. The NPCs weren't even programmed to move. And on top of that, the game ran at a headache-inducing 4 frames per second. The devs got truly obliterated in the comments and were fiercely mocked online.
This looks like it was coded in Microsoft Paint.
And with that, basically all hope for the game was lost. But it gets worse. March 2020. An update is posted on the game's website. More concept art? Nah, much better. Pre-alpha testing of the game had just begun. Backers that pledged $1,000 or more had access to a playable demo of the game right away. Okay, the gameplay trailer was god awful, but maybe, just maybe, this might be pretty good. Oh fuck me. Rather than logging into what they think is a demo of the actual game, fans are instead greeted to a janky 10-minute long parkour level, carelessly thrown together in a few hours by an intern. It was really shit. Also, around this time, Soulbound Studios released the Settlers of Elyria event. Basically, a desperate last-ditch effort to sell the remainder of the game's shitty unclaimed items at artificially reduced prices. Fans could literally smell the greed emanating from their monitors. Not even a week after attempting to sell fans useless in-game items, an update was posted on the game's website, ominously named Heading into the Abyss. To summarise, the studio had blown the entire $8 million+ from crowdfunding and were completely out of money. All employees working on the game had been let go, and development was no more. Although this news surprised absolutely no one, it was fair to say that the game's backers had had enough and began unleashing years of built up frustration and anger on the game's community forums and Discord server. Whilst Caspian was busy nuking his Discord server, fans were busy making one of their own. Not long after the infamous Heading Into the Abyss update was posted, belligerent fans created the class action for COE Discord server. Some backers even hired their own lawyers, but it wasn't just Soulbound Studios that was the target of these lawsuits, but also their accomplice, Xsolla. Late 2020, a complaint was officially filed in the Central District Court of California against both companies. However, this went nowhere. Fortunately for Caspian, all lawsuits against him and Soulbound Studios were dismissed in October 2022. For some strange reason though, the lawsuit against Xsolla will proceed to court. However, the case is ongoing, with no resolution in sight, and to this day not a single refund has ever been issued. It's now 2023, and the game seems to have been completely abandoned. However, it has been speculated that Caspian crawls out of the shadows once every few months to post a new update on the game's website in order to exploit a legal loophole to avoid getting sued, before slithering away back into the darkness once more.